Hey everyone, welcome to Nailed It, a podcast powered by Parker Huggett.
A big warm welcome to Lora McMillan on Season 2, Episode 5 of Nailed It. Thanks for joining us today, Laura.
Thanks so much, Matt.
A little bit about Laura. She's a carpenter by trade. She spent 12 years with Ledcor Construction, working her way up from senior superintendent to manager of special projects and project director, and very recently joined BGIS as a national director of construction services. Outside of my high-level introduction, please share with us your professional journey and experience.
Thanks, Matt. And you're right. I did start as a carpenter. And even before that, I did a little bit of like art fundamentals and interior design in school and thought, nah, that's not it. That's not for me. And if you saw the way I pick colors, you'd understand why that was never going to work. And then I did move into carpentry and started somewhat of an apprenticeship, but really kind of worked on the tools and did custom homes, building, did tiling, framing, roofing, siding, anything you could imagine. Really fell in love with that. I worked for many residential builders, including a company called Women Who Build Stuff. Shout out. So my construction's in my blood. My grandfather was a carpenter, and I'm kind of surrounded by buildings, so it was a natural move into that sector. And I did 5 years in like as a literal residential carpenter, and then kind of wanted more. And I actually started at Ledcor as an assistant super in 2012, and then moved from assistant super to senior to some weird title that Ryan Stan made up, manager of special projects, and then into director. And just moved over to BGIS to take on a bit more of a stretch role and kind of flex some muscles over there.
And what is your current oversight at BGIS as a national director?
Yeah, so BGIS, obviously a well-known name, but a massive company with many different business lines. And generally speaking, facilities management, building management, project management, and then they have a construction management wing. And so that's what I've come on board to steer that ship and grow that ship and work on the business instead of in the business, which has been my experience. And so definitely an incredible opportunity. And 120 days in, I can say really, really excited to be there.
Awesome. And based on the tour of duty you've done with some very reputable firms, when you started off in carpentry or, residential buildings, did you ever imagine you would take this roadmap or journey?
Not until I did. That's the thing, I'm guilty as far as being an Aries and also an only child. So I pretty much imagine it. And then I'm like, yeah, this can happen. So Definitely didn't think that. And I mean, whenever I'm in something, most people that know me will probably tell you that I'm 130% into it. And I have no medium speed. So as soon as I set my sights on something, I typically try to go get it. But no, I don't think when I reflect back, I'm not sure if I really saw myself coming this far and being so into construction.
Amazing. If you had to pick one decision or a series of decisions that got you from the field to the office, from the boardroom to being, for being hands-on, being in leadership roles, like what would you say were some of those decisions or experiences?
I mean, it's so tough because it's there, it's like the butterfly effect. It's a million tiny decisions that you make that lead you to a place. But I think there's a lot of themes, and I would definitely say, and obviously speaking as a woman in construction, asking for what I want was probably the single most valuable thing that I was taught and that I used. I think if you believe it, you can do it. A lot of people, I come across a lot of folks when I mentor people and I coach people. The idea of just saying, this is what I want is surprisingly rare. So even if I couldn't see what I wanted to be, like just voicing, this is what I want, or this is what I think I want. And then having folks sponsor and mentor me up the ladder, that apparently worked really well.
Yeah, it sounded like you owned your experience too. When you got what you asked for, you showed up to the occasion, because there was also that age-old statement, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, and I think I probably live that now. But I think also part of it is like understanding what you want. And that's a whole different process. It's like trying to figure out what is it that I want and then communicating what I want. And, the age-old term, managing up.
Yeah.
So like helping your manager get you what you want. has been a really critical piece, which is the theme of any advice I give to women or anyone trying to make a career in the industry is ultra specific to you have to ask for what you want, but you really need to help people envision you where you want to be.
Amazing. Yeah, I guess in light of this podcast being called Nailed It, what is a situation where you've succeeded with a hire, personal situation that led to a professional outcome, positive outcome, or having other work-related successes? Like what's an experience share that you could give the listeners or provide the listeners from pulling from a past experience that led into a success at work?
Yeah. And I was thinking about this with the topic that we were talking about. And I'm like, DEI, right? It's the evil word of DEI in construction. And I was thinking, I am really proud of how far I've come, specifically moving up so many roles within the industry and kind of like carving my own path uniquely within the industry. But then I thought about like my biggest success and where I really truly nailed it is when I turn around and look behind me, I've got an army of women coming behind me and different folks that look different within the industry. And I think that's my real success. If I can do nothing, like it's one thing to make your own success, but critical piece in the construction methodology is like apprenticeship, right? Turning around and training people outside of you and training the generation behind you. So I think if anything, my success is all the women that are coming for you guys and your jobs and my job, hopefully, if we're lucky.
Amazing. And you just leading by example and kind of, creating a path forward based on your success and maybe some of the challenges you've been through.
Yeah. And I mean,
being a woman in construction, like I can't imagine that would be easy.
No, it's actually the hardest. I think it's just super, super hard and for many different ways. And I will say, from my perspective, because I am a queer woman and in the queer space, it's okay to say like, oh, I'm mask presenting. I know some people feel uncomfortable with that stuff, but got the short hair, cool little, collared shirt. I get a little bit of privilege being a woman that's more maybe masculine presenting in the industry because sometimes I'm seen as a dude and that benefits me straight up. So sometimes I see the way some women are treated and it's certainly a different experience than I've had. I've had those similar experiences as well, but I've had some privilege and I almost think I get a really unique purview to see both sides. I see how men, because I think sometimes I'm incognito and they think I'm a guy and then they say something and I'm like, no, please don't say that stuff, And so I get really kind of the best of both worlds. But then I also, experience what I call the systemic barriers to women in construction. There's no joke, there's no qualms here that like the industry has such low representation of women and diverse folks. I think the rate of like 12% of the industry is currently women, like an abysmal 5% is represented by women in site-based roles. So, that other chunk is administrative or potentially finance or potentially HR, ancillary stuff, which is great. But like when you get into this ultra specific site person, it is a world that it's tough to swallow. And if you don't, like, I don't know if you can contextualize like what it's like to walk into a room full of 20 people and be the only one of you. And the only one that looks like you and the only one that sounds like you, it's kind of like, it's alienating and it's offered, for me, it's an opportunity, but it's not for the faint of heart. I got to be honest with you. And that's why it's kind of upsetting because really only the super tenacious and super, I'd call myself obnoxious and loud people or women or different folks can really carve their path in the industry, which is, I think, a real miss. Now, I know you're the interviewer, but can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So what do you think of when you hear DEI, the term DEI?
Yeah, I would say that it's been a buzzword. From my perspective, it's bringing a different perspective and a different, or should I say different view on the world, which creates new ideas, better debates in a room. And I think within an ecosystem in a business. So as it relates to a business, when it comes to DEI, that's how I view it, is bringing different life experiences to the table versus just checking off a few boxes to make sure that you've met the DEI recipe book, right? Like hire the best person for the job is my stance on it.
Yeah, I think you passed the test.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
so we could just go ahead and end this podcast then.
Yeah.
No, and then that's the thing is, I think it's a checkbox. I got to be honest with you. I hate the terminology DEI. I hate it. I hate
Yeah.
I hate the diversity and inclusion, the inclusive diversity, the diverse inclusive equity. I hate it all. I think, and the reason is because we've lost the nuts and bolts of this stuff, right? And
Yeah.
actually, this is a construction thing. We take acronyms and lose all perspective on what they are. But
Yeah.
I think the point is too, is it's turned into this like terrible word. It's a swear word now, and it's this awful word, and everybody's like, oh, DEI, get away, and there's these swings both sides, right? DEI is good, DEI is bad. But I think it's like we're taking away what's important out of it, or we're shortening it down to these acronyms that is either people are like, oh, good, you do DEI, or they're like, oh, you're awful. I don't like woke politics, like that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. And it's exactly what you said. Like, I think in construction, what we really understand is hiring the right person for the job. We get that, right?
Mhm.
We get okay, what is this job going to take? Oh, deep excavations. We need someone that does deep excavations. Oh,
Mhm.
really complicated financials. Let's get someone with complicated financials. Oh, complicated schedule. We need complicated schedule. So why can't
Mhm.
we just think about DEI that way, right? Like,
Mhm.
okay, we need someone that knows how to navigate really shitty situations. Hey, that's me. Done that before. Like, have
Yeah.
you ever tried to convince someone that you're not 12 years old with a face like this? Like, it's not easy, but I've got that skill.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
these are the things. And it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine, you may know her, Shannon Adams,
Yeah.
which I listened to her podcast before
Yeah.
I came
Yeah.
to this, but
Big fan.
big fan as well. I don't know if you know this, but we share a mentor, right? Brian Stan was and is a huge piece of both of our careers. That's how we got together at first. Brian had said to me, "Oh, are you going to meet this firecracker?" And hopefully he said something similar over to Shannon. But we were just having lunch and we were talking about how one thing that's kind of emerging in construction when we're so short on people on the workforce is, hey, people in the military happen to be really good in construction. And again,
Mhm.
shout out to Ryan Stan, former militant, but really the organization, the structure, the org chart, the like, leave this, take that, this is my job, this is what I do. I go A, B, C, D, and then go and get A, B, C, D done. You know, that's something that you've seen. Okay, let's get more veterans in construction. So there's a veteran program and all that. That's DEI. Like, that's
Yeah.
it. Those skills that somebody in military who has a background in military develops is critical for construction.
Yeah. Even like troubled youth, right? I don't know if it's called hammerheads or there's a
Yes.
program where you could, you take troubled youth and you put them into a trades program.
Yes.
And I mean, that could be not to be dramatic, that could be the difference between life or death or a promising career, right?
And those kids have resiliency that no one else that just, that has a
Yeah.
different lifestyle could truly understand. And those people will have experiences that we need in construction. And I don't want to knock on construction, but we've been pouring concrete the same way for 100 years.
Yeah.
It is almost embarrassing, the lack of innovation, the dive in production. And when it comes down to the current workforce, like, I think the current unemployment rates, right? Like the unemployment rate is fairly high, but the vacancy rate is almost the exact same percentage in construction. So like,
Mm.
and I know the construction industry isn't giant, but we are like 160 something billion of the Canadian GDP. And
Mhm.
I think that was said in the Canadian Construction Association, they did this report and it was diversity as a business case. It said by something like 2028, about 700,000 workers will be retiring or over the age of 65 by, within, and that's like 40% or something like that of the construction industry.
Mhm.
And we're not getting into the industry. There aren't new folks coming into the industry quite as much as the amount that are about to retire. And
Mhm.
then when you look at it on the other side, there's like 10 million women in the workforce. So like, there's a really good opportunity,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
those are people that probably have some fantastic skills, that
Mhm.
high IQ, high EQ, high communication, high like ability to navigate things, multitasking. these are skills that the construction industry is starving for. So like when you say the right person for the right job, I'd love to know, how many times do you hear, you're in the recruiting business, this will be so interesting. How many times do you hear 30 years experience, gray haired guy, built these concrete structures?
Not as much anymore. There's more of a need for someone who's not on the back nine of their career. Might get me in trouble saying that, but individuals that they could build the organizational memory and project memory, that's a hot topic right now for all the reasons you just mentioned because of the retirees. There's definitely been more of a demand for outside of the typical gray-haired, no computer skills.
And those people are important.
Type candidate. And they are, yeah. When they leave, they take the memory, project memory and industry memory with them. So it's important to like buddy those two demographics together. But there is real talk about succession planning.
I mean, that's good to hear. Yeah. I'm relieved. And I got to be honest with you, like there's a place for everybody. I want to be clear that it's not like we're not trying to do this anymore. We're now trying to do this. It's more just like we can't keep up with what we have currently. And the answer is women and Black folks and Indigenous folks and queer folks and like all these people from different socioeconomic. I think, there's some incredible studies, and I've got some, toolkits coming out ahead of my talk next week that are going to help allies understand some of the biases that women face and women understand how they can overcome some of the biases that they're going to face. But there is some incredible research done on how having different folks at board levels increase like overall profits, dollars and cents, and generally higher retention because of higher EQ. It's one of those things that I know is hard to pull data out of, or it's hard to like touch and feel. And that's probably what's so difficult in a like pretty data-based industry. But I think the places where you're seeing lack of productivity, lack of innovation, lack of change is where construction is really like rubber is meeting the road. We're falling behind.
Yeah, an outside of the box approach is definitely needed. I think there's also a huge opportunity with, immigration, right? The amount of Ubers I get into where I like talking to random people. Maybe I'm a weirdo, but I always ask them, how'd you get into driving an Uber, or what is it that you do for a living? Because I find that not everybody, but a lot of people are using Uber as a second income because of how costly everything is here in Canada today. And, you hear about some pretty smart people who are lawyers or doctors or, all these great professions. And surely, with the immigrant mentality, which I'm a big fan of, that takes a lot of grit. You can become a doctor, a lawyer, and you move to Canada for a better opportunity if we had, and maybe there is a world where there are schools that do that, but if they're coming here and driving an Uber versus, maybe being a trade and having a sense of craft, I mean, maybe not everybody wants to do that, but there could also be a huge DEI opportunity there as well to offset the shortage and provide a better lifestyle than what an Uber would pay.
Absolutely. And don't say that bad word DEI, but the thing is, imagine a person who comes, uproots their entire family, maybe escapes some, war or some political devastation. Imagine the coordination skills it would take to figure out all of the different permits that you have to get, all the visas, all the processes, then organize the flights, find a place to land. That's a construction project. Like if you could figure out how to move you and your family from one country to another and and completely uproot and then restabilize your entire family, you could build a high-rise building. It's not that hard.
Right.
And I think, you're right, project memory, and like there is so much skills that is required in construction. But I tell everybody that I can possibly meet, construction is easy. People are hard. And all you're doing is managing people in construction. Whether it's, whether you are doing the actual building, you're still managing people. And that's what's like the transferable skills are critical there. Forget about, have you installed 18 floors of concrete? Have you poured, 16 floors? Have you done 90 something floor building? It's the same thing over and over again. You need these other skills that were pretty desperate in construction. And
Mhm.
I have to say, like, another thing Shannon and I were talking about is in construction, about 70%, they estimate that 70% of the people, of the leaders in construction are just subject matter experts. Only 30% of the leaders in construction are really truly growth leaders, mindset mentors, sponsors. So like that is a really, really dangerous balance there. You just have, folks that maybe didn't want to get into mentor or management or leadership that are leading these groups that aren't strategic, that don't have those skills. So like, when people are like, I just want the most qualified person. Well, the person that's probably saying that might not be qualified, like that,
Mhm.
that's kind of the irony around it is like, what's qualification in construction anyways, at this point?
Mhm. I hear a lot of, which is encouraging. I'll take attitude over aptitude, or
Every
and
day of the
train
week,
someone.
every
Yeah,
day of the
like
week.
you get someone, even going back to putting troubled youth into trades, like talk about street smarts, which is
Absolutely.
not something you can learn in school.
No,
And you're dealing with people. Yeah, I think if you look at like companies like PCL who have like a college and training program as robust as that, and if more companies had that,
yeah.
it would be way better for the industry. Obviously, I'm spending other people's money by saying that, but yeah,
But I gotta say, like one thing
yeah,
that PCL has that it's so unique is drinking the Kool-Aid and also like these lifelong employees, which is so
yeah,
rare, right? And that's what they want is they want to keep from within. And that, like that's kind of lost now. It's like as a super, all you were trying to do was jump from job to job to job to get the experience that you needed to, right? You were quote unquote job chasing. I mean, I didn't, but I heard about it. But like and I understand that, and that kinda to be honest with you, that's what holds a lot of women back, and there's a performance versus potential bias, right? Like, a lot of men are,
yeah,
like, judged more on their performance, whereas women or sorry, potential, whereas women are judged for their performance. So they'll say,
yeah.
"Well, this guy didn't do a $100 million project, but he could, he just did a 75 million, so it's not a big deal."
Okay,
Whereas women are often judged in a way like, "Okay, but she hasn't ever done a $100 million job." So there's these kind of scenarios that are holding that leap of faith back just based on kind of like the way we've always done it.
it's interesting. Well, that I think that levy's gonna break or is starting to.
There's probably not going to be much choice because
Yeah,
there isn't going to be enough people. But, I think at the same time, well, you can see the ebb and flow of the DEI popularity currently, and maybe it's on a downfall now and maybe it'll pick back up. But I think like, I know certainly as someone who fits into a couple different DEI buckets, I don't want to use that anymore. I don't want to talk about that anymore. What I want to talk about is what skills do people that are not represented in construction, what do they have and how do we get them here? And like
yeah,
construction is an incredible industry. As a woman, as a queer woman, this is the best industry ever. And honestly, I always joke with my friends, I'm like, I'm so good at it because there's no one else like me around. There's no one else that
yeah,
talks like me, that thinks like me. It's such a
yeah,
unique perspective. And
yeah.
there's so much money to be made in construction. There's so much opportunity. So it's like we're currently like the levee, you say it, right? The women
Yeah.
and the diverse folk are standing on one side. They need to be in the construction industry. The construction industry is well on the other side saying, this is the way we've always done it. And I really, truly hope that breaks. But I don't think it's going to break by us saying DEI and implementing this stuff. Like we got to get no nonsense, no bullshit. What do these people have that we need and how do we get them over here?
Benefits all parties when
It
you start
does.
talking about those pragmatic approaches.
And like the nuts and the true, like there's all of these studies about overperforming like EBITDA, they're overperforming sales revenue goals, like higher cash flow, higher like fee per person. Like, and I mean, again, there's many different publications that show this stuff, but there's enough data to show you that it's good business and profitable business to hire diverse folks. And
Mhm.
so I feel like the more we say DEI, the further away we are getting from like, this is a good business decision.
I love that. And just to give you a bit of a plug here, you're also with Shannon, you're speaking on behalf of a Women in Construction Association event this coming week.
Yeah, thanks for the plug. I'm going to be at,
Yeah.
so I am a board of director at KWIC, and I promise there was no
Okay.
favoritism because Shannon applied for the speaker position. I didn't even know I was a speaker until I was volunteering on the board for the schedule and I saw my name and I texted Shannon. I said, are we talking at KWIC conference? She's like, we are. I was like, thank you. So
it's amazing.
Yeah. And we're gonna have a roadshow. Like we did one engagement together. It went well. This one's going to go even better. We're going to come out with some like practical toolkits for people to just use and figure out how to get past this DEI struggle. But we're just going to talk about our careers, and then we're going to teach construction leaders how to help women overcome barriers, and then women how to jump and hurdle themselves over these barriers.
It's amazing. The obstacle's the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what does the construction development industry do really well in Canada?
There's so many things. Problem solve. Like I remember speaking to a lot of folks during the COVID pandemic. And I mean, like a lot of people pivoted so incredibly well during COVID, but nobody more than construction. I mean, okay, hospital and nurses and workers and stuff like that aside. Construction killed it in the COVID pandemic because we're so agile. We're taught, okay, here's the problem. What are we identifying as potential solutions? What's the best move forward? And so, okay, legislation comes out. What does this legislation mean? Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to build this 6 feet away. And we're going to wear masks when we build it. Like, I think we are agile and we can change. That's maybe what's so frustrating about this DEI conversation. But like, we are relentless at finding solutions and overcoming barriers. It's so great to work in an industry like that, because honestly, like any problem that happens in my personal life, I'm like, easy. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, off we go. Like, and maybe I oversimplify things. My wife will certainly say that once she listens to this podcast, but I do find it to be like an incredibly refreshing and really, really cool perspective to be like, here's a problem. How do we get out of here? How do we fix this?
I'm always amazed at how the construction industry and the professionals in it are constantly managing either crisis, problem, or just headaches, and then still have a smile on their face and say they love it.
I got to be honest with you. I think a lot of it is self-inflicted. So like the other part of me is like, sure, there are people and that's their job is to put out fires, but I think some of us are setting them. And so there is some like balance in there that maybe we should stop setting our own fires that we have to put out, but we do it very well. We put out fires very well.
Yeah. It's incredible to watch or at least hear about. In your opinion, and I know we talked about some of the challenges, but what do you feel are the biggest challenges ahead in the Canadian construction development industry?
I mean, I think the biggest challenge is to innovate in a real serious way. And that is directly related to the people that are in the industry. I think, if that levee doesn't break and the industry kind of keeps chugging on, which I know is the way it wants to go or the way it always has, I think that's going to be a huge miss. Like I said, the analogy of pouring the concrete, the same way. And I should preface, we did get, now they have pumps. So that's, one innovation we've made. But, and no, concrete is very cool. Don't get me wrong. But the lack of innovation from that perspective, and certainly like, we love the idea of technology and we're so scared of it. I speak to all these women who are coming up with technology and they're so smart. And then people are like, ooh, but I don't know about this, I don't know about AI and all that. So I think that's a huge challenge. We kind of have to shed some of that like apprehension, take some notes from say the tech world where you just sunken cost analysis aside, start changing things and just see how it works. So
you could either look at invest or spending money as an investment or a cost.
That's right. And I think technology and systems, that's something in construction that we're really struggling in. And I mean, there are systems that are there, but there's so much hesitation to dive in with both feet. So I think until we kind of truly invest in innovation, like in a real capital I way, I think it's going to be a struggle.
And in your opinion, just to close out, why should youth strongly consider a career in the construction or development industry?
Oh my God, there's so much money in it. You can make so much money. And I always say, like, I don't care about the money, but I got to be honest with you, money's so good. But outside of that, it's not the money. It never has been the money for me. That's a beautiful little perk, but it is so cool. It's such a cool industry. your day-to-day is different. Every day is different. You have
Mhm.
different meetings, you have different spots to be. It's very self-governed. Like, I understand if you're a tradesperson, yeah, you got to show up you got to clock in at 7, you got to clock out at 7:30. But like, there's so many different places within the industry that there's just an incredible amount of flexibility. So your each day looks completely different, which is so refreshing. Like, it is so refreshing because if you had a terrible day today, probably tomorrow's not going to be like it. And so that's so
Yeah.
lovely. There's so much creativity. And I think people think, oh, construction, knuckle dragon, not so intelligent, blah, blah, blah. But every day is like these black and white and gray areas that you need to navigate. And you get this such a cerebral like workout because you're like, well, how do I do this? Even plumbing, I need to go from here to there and I need a 1/4 inch slope every 12 inch. How do I maintain that slope? Oh my God, the ductwork's in my way. Like, it's incredibly creative and you're constantly like winning and losing and then big wins and big losses. That's another thing is it's so tangible. Like,
Yeah.
I joke with my wife, she's a lawyer and she's got all this writing. And I mean, she sees results too, but like I get to like clean and wipe my building and walk away and look at it and say, damn, that was fun. It's
Yeah.
very, very rewarding. And I think all of that makes it just such an incredible career. It's so high demand and probably one of the most slept on careers because nobody
Mhm.
realizes how incredible those pieces are. And
Mhm.
so,
Mhm.
and then you get paid well for doing it. So that's all right.
That's a fantastic byproduct
And I mean, like, if
of the
you look at
industry.
if you're in grade 11 or grade 12 and you're thinking, where am I going to go next? And I don't want to poo poo the university or post secondary school because it's very important. But like, go to school for 5 or 4 years and spend $80,000, or go work in a trade for 4 to 5 years and make 80,000 a year at the end of it. Like, yeah, that's a good choice for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have to pay for school.
Yeah, absolutely. Spend money or make money.
Yeah.
No, and I don't want to say
Yeah.
don't go to everybody go to
Yeah.
post-secondary, but if you don't, call me.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time, Laura.
Thank you so much, Matt. Appreciate it.